Ready?
1 second.
It's a recording.
It's recording.
Good evening and welcome to episode number 36 of Unforced Error. But it's not just another episode with myself and Sir David Radina, because we have a friend. We found a friend, a UFE friend, which is the best kind of friend you can have, who's sitting to the right of me. It's 33 degrees northeast.
Yes, they need to know.
And he's going to introduce himself now.
Hello guys, my name is Antonio Martins and I'm a big friend of David and I'm a big follower of UFE and I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
And you've been here before, but not in this room as a guest.
Exactly.
In this room to
Virtually,
music.
you were
Yes.
a guest.
So, Jim, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to talk about what we've just watching just now in the living room, just next to David's studios, which was what were we watching?
We're watching the NITO ATP finals, which, as we noticed, they moved the stadium and flew it to Turin.
They did. It looked exactly the same as when it was held in London in the O2 Arena. The arena was bathed in blue light. I don't know if that's an ATP Tour Finals kind of trademark, but it looked exactly the same as the O2 Finals. So we think either they're pretending it's filmed in Turin and it's really still in the O2 or in a warehouse.
That's what I was thinking.
In some evil Dr. Moreau island where they play all the top sports these days. Or it was flown, more likely probably, in a massive helicopter dragged over the oceans to Italy. So it featured the world's top 8 players, allegedly. I'd quite like to discuss this. Were they really the world's top 8 players that we were watching this week?
Yes, it really looked exactly the same. And so we were watching the final between Djokovic and Ruud. And Antonio, who were you supporting?
First of all, I thought that we were gonna discuss the sunglasses of Djokovic's wife, but
We've got to say, we've got to, haven't we? Actually, yeah.
has been with sunglasses for all the competition.
Yes,
So-
And it was played indoors.
in very 60s. Very 60s,
Yeah.
yes.
I was supporting Ruud. I think he's a nice guy, first of all.
He's a lovely man.
Lovely.
And I also like different winners. So the guy has been in 3 finals, 2 Grand Slam finals.
And yet to
Was,
win.
And yeah, he
Yet
didn't
to
win.
win.
Very sad, yeah.
So it would be really nice for him to surpass the one that I think is the best at the moment. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. What about you guys? Who were you guys supporting for
Pretty
this match?
straightforward, yeah. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, I definitely wanted Ruud to win. I was supporting Medvedev to win the whole thing, but Medvedev had a odd tournament. Still played really well and gave us amazing matches. We watched one, didn't we, Antonio?
Yes.
Between Djokovic and Medvedev. But it was not to be. And Ruud is a guy that I like to see in finals. It's just something is missing for him to finally do it. But was there any doubt ever, Jim, that Djokovic was going to win?
He was the hot favourite, and maybe that's why all 3 of us were supporting Ruud, because it's nice for the outsider, the underdog, to win it at the 3rd attempt, his 3rd big title of the year. But just getting back to what Antonia said about Djokovic being the world's best player, and I think Greg Ruzetsky said this in the commentary. I would say arguably over the year, I think maybe he's the best player on form at the moment. But I'd say over the year, I'd say Rafa Nadal has won 2 of the 4 Grand Slam titles.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, and I always moan about rankings, it's one of the things I always bring up.
Yes.
How can you win 2 of the 4 Grand Slam titles? Djokovic only won 1, Alcaraz won the other one, and not be the world number 1. I do think, Nadal probably had the most pleasing year overall. I know there were mitigating circumstances. Djokovic got slung out of Australia at the
Yes.
start of the year.
Yes.
For me, I would say Nadal is the world number one overall, but yeah, Djokovic is the in-form player. But Djokovic was only in the ATP Tour End finals because he was a Grand Slam winner, because he won Wimbledon. On ranking, he was not one of the world's top 8 before the tournament, which is the pre-entry requirement. You need to be one of the world's top 8 players or a Grand Slam winner within that year. So Wimbledon got him in to the Tour End
The
finals.
invalid Wimbledon.
Yeah, and it was invalid, as David says. It was invalid.
Yeah. Do you think it's right, Antonio, to put Djokovic in the O2 finals? Do you think it's right that he was valid for the O2 finals qualification, but it was invalid for the ranking points?
Well, theoretically, he shouldn't be there, I guess. But I don't know. Djokovic is Djokovic. I do think that things just seem so easy for him somehow. And his spirit, like even in this, we watched the match against Medvedev. His
Was
spirit
odd.
is outrageous. I mean, he could have just like let it go of this match, and he
Mhm.
was in such a bad physical condition.
He was.
The match didn't had any importance.
Shaking
Thing he was
hands.
shaking, and we both thought like, okay, he's just gonna keep playing, but he's gonna lose the match because he's gonna save some energy for the next day. And suddenly the guy comes with this opponent, Medvedev, like that is giving everything,
He was
and he's
giving
just
everything.
and he just goes everywhere. And I mean, it's also very important to have a man like Djokovic to the show like this. I mean, you want to see this type of players that don't give up. That obviously this is very questionable because he theoretically was not supposed to be part of the 8 players. But there was also a lot of things happening this year that were very questionable as well. So
And unfair.
and
in my
unfair in
opinion.
some way. I mean, and I think you're completely right. But just because Nadal ended the year in a very low performance or low, like things didn't go his way in the last tournaments, maybe it made me forget that he won 2 Grand Slams. That's very true.
Yeah.
And that he had an awesome year.
Yeah, it's not his time of the year, Nadal. I don't think he's ever won the Tour End finals, has he?
He never won
I've
the
clocked
Tour End
them up.
finals.
A
It's
few others have
unbelievable.
gate crashed it, haven't they? Tsitsipas,
Never did.
Medvedev, Zverev.
Dimitrov.
Yes,
Even
yeah.
Dimitrov won that thing.
Yeah, but it's not Nadal's time of the year. Maybe he's not a great indoor player.
And indoors. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, as Brzezinski was saying at the end, he thinks Djokovic is a better indoor player than Alcaraz. Alcaraz didn't even make the starting gate because he was injured, so exhausted after his US Open
Yes.
title. We do see this players becoming injured after a marathon Grand Slam with lots of 5-set matches.
Yes.
I think it's a good rule that they do let a Grand Slam winner into the
Agreed.
Tour End final. But it makes a bit of a mockery because surely if you've won, say in a normal year, if you've won a Grand Slam or reached the final, you should really be in the top 8. Here's a quiz question for you. Kyrgios had a good Australian Open, didn't he?
He did.
He had a good US Open. I think he reached the quarterfinals or the last 16 of both of them.
He has reached his first Grand Slam final.
And of course, he reached his first Grand Slam final. He finished the year ranked 22 in the
I was going to
singles.
say 10.
I was gonna
Which
say
is-
12.
Yeah, you would think he'd be knocking on the door, but I mean, despite those deep runs in the US and the Australian, which did count towards the ranking, he's 22nd. So it's a bit daft. Tsitsipas, I think, finished the year as world number 3, whereas Casper Ruud reached 2 Grand Slam finals and Tsitsipas didn't reach any. So yeah, it's not weighted enough towards the Grand Slams.
The ATP's 1000s and 500s make a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, too much in my book. I
So
know
you-
they need to keep these other tournaments sweet and have incentive for the players to play these lesser tournaments, which is still very big tournaments, but I think more weight should be given to the Grand Slams.
Yes, and no wonder everybody watches Grand Slams, and the ATP 1000s are a bit more forgotten.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Should Grand Slam finalists be given a wild card to the ATP Tour
No,
End finalists? That's too much.
too much, yeah. There's only space for 8.
Yeah.
It would be like the 4 Grand Slam winners plus the 4 finalists.
Exactly.
No point on the race to... Used
Yeah.
to be called Race to London. Now it's Race to Turin.
Yes.
Yep.
Does that sound as good? Oh, sure. Yes. I was getting used to it. I think Turin. And it should have gone. London had it too long. London's already got Wimbledon, so
Race to London
London's been
looks
spoiled.
fancier.
Yeah,
It sounds good.
yeah,
Sounds.
It really does. And this O2 finals was what allowed me to watch all these great players live.
yeah.
Such an accessible tournament, isn't it? Whereas Wimbledon is for the,
The knobs.
yes, thank you.
Do you want to go to Turin to watch the finals?
No,
You don't have that desire.
no. What about you, Antonio?
Me neither, I guess.
Antonio watched Antonio
went
watched
to
one
watch
of the
the-
best matches of all time, didn't you? At the Australian.
Oh, I
Do
watched
you know where he was when Federer won that incredible run at the Australian?
2017.
He was in
Was that the one
Australia.
against Nadal?
Yes, he
Right.
watched the.
I didn't watch the finals,
I
but I
know.
watched two matches of
En route.
Federer, in Melbourne.
Really?
One of them,
Which ones
one
were
of
they?
them was Nishikori.
Oh, was
It
that a
was a
five-setter?
five-setter
Yes.
that he had
Yes.
to stop. And
Yeah.
the other one, I believe it was Misha Zverev. It was a tournament that Federer had to sweat a lot.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, good.
It was
remember.
unbelievable. I remember to talk with you and you were saying, oh, you should stay in Melbourne and go watch the finals. Because I left in the semis, I think. I had to leave. I had my flight. And and he ended up winning in an amazing match, the final
Amazing
one.
match.
And I was already back home.
Federer's memories. Huh? Speaking of which, I think today is 3 mega Federer fans.
Yes.
So you're in the Federer camp.
Yes.
That's
yes.
great. You're amongst friends.
Exactly.
It was very lucky Stephen wasn't here tonight because
It's
there
true.
might have been microphones being knocked over and
Yeah, Nadal's
yes.
fans.
yeah.
Do you have any good final words to your great hero Federer?
Well, I hope that he keeps connected to tennis in some way, like a coach or like a commentator. Like I also like Federer a lot as a person, so I want to keep seeing him around.
Yes.
We talked about that in these previous 3 years. We were always with this belief that Federer would come back since 2019.
Perform another miracle.
Yeah, the second coming.
Yes, and
Yeah,
dreaming
Third
for
coming.
more Grand Slams, but I think
Yeah.
COVID situation also helped us out because everything was very not happening too many things. Tournaments went.
It did help him out for
stopped
a while,
little
didn't
bit,
it?
and we thought there's
Yeah.
a chance he's just recovering in his.
Oxygen tent.
Yeah.
True. How long was he away from tennis? Was a whole year, wasn't
Well,
it?
yeah. I mean, he had that protected ranking for quite a while, which was extended probably because of COVID, I think.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, 2017 he came back, and then 2018 he won the Australian Open too.
Yes. But in a way, I think COVID could have waited for Federer to retire.
I suppose his last knockings really was at 2019
2019
against
Wimbledon.
Djokovic.
Yeah.
That was the
Sorry to bring
final.
that up.
Oh, my
And
stomach just sunk.
yeah, after that, I mean, he had a deep run in his last Wimbledon, didn't he?
He
I
did.
know he lost the final set 6-love against Hurkacz, but Hurkacz is a good player. I can imagine him playing in a Wimbledon final.
Urkas is top 10 nowadays.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't in the Tour End finals, really.
Yeah.
He's kind of been
Who?
Hurkacz, Polish player.
Polish player, yes. Ivona would tell you off for the way you say his name.
So how is it
I
pronounced?
have no idea.
But it's not Hurkacz.
No.
I make him sound like some cartoon character, don't I?
Yeah, it's good. It actually sounds really nice. Better than the original
Whatever it
one.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, the ladies' Tour End finals have really gone under the radar. They're not as prominent as the men's.
Not as popular, yes.
So what happened in that? Because you love the ladies' game. don't you?
Absolutely. Finally, the unbeatable, the destroyer of all players, Swiatek lost in the semis against Sabalenka, which is a player that almost never had beaten her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a bad day at the office.
Wouldn't it be great if the men's and the women's were held in the same venue?
I would love
rather than
that.
it's separate,
yes.
because I
They're
mean,
completely separate.
I don't want to watch the men's doubles. I just don't.
No,
I just don't
exactly.
care. And I think it gets in the way. I mean, when you went to the O2, didn't they bung in the doubles game in the middle of the singles games? which I really wouldn't want to pay for, but you don't have a choice if you go to the O2. And I'm sure it's the same with Turin. You would have a
Yes.
doubles game and
You
two
have
singles game.
you buy the ticket for the afternoon and the ticket for the evening,
Yeah.
and you get to watch the doubles before.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was the women's
Yeah.
match, and that would be great.
I think it's doubles,
love
singles,
that.
doubles, singles, isn't it?
Double singles,
Yeah.
double singles, yes.
So you could turn up late, miss the first doubles match, but
Yeah, I've done that
you're
before.
lumbered with the middle, with the other
Yeah.
doubles match.
And go for dinner.
Yes.
Yes, you
A
could
ve-
go
by
for a
the-
walk.
And by the way, a very
Yeah, go for a
expensive
walk.
dinner in the
Yeah,
O2.
it would be.
arena.
Everyone said the price was. Yeah. But that's life.
And the lines.
Everything's.
And the lines. The lines are worse than the waiting for the restaurants is even worse than the
Oh
price.
dear, not good. But they put on a bit more entertainment, don't they? The O2, they had like serving competitions
Yes, a
and
couple of things.
speed
Yes.
guns, so it's more kind of entertainment.
And Tim Hanneman was once upon a time there giving autographs.
Yeah.
You were not there, Antonio.
Exactly.
Antonio, secretly his favorite player has always
You
been.
can't realise all your
It's,
dreams.
I mean,
in
it's
life.
not secretly.
That's true, actually.
Open.
I'm very open about it.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's
It's
one
the-
of the guys that beat Federer in the Wimbledon. Let's not forget about
That's
this.
true.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a big claim to fame, isn't it? Because Federer was on fire. then,
After
wasn't
he
Yeah.
defeated Sampras,
Yeah, and a
was it? I think
yeah,
so, right?
classic match. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
And then it came the beast,
yeah,
Tim
yeah,
Henman.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yes.
then after Tim Henman, it was Goran Ivanisevic who knocked out Tim Henman.
Garcia won the women's final.
Okay, she had a good year then, didn't she? Beat Serena Williams in Serena Williams' last inverted commas ever Grand Slam. So has Serena Williams really retired? Because you were telling me something quite shocking before the
Yeah, looks like
microphone
some
went on.
announcement was made that she's coming back.
Can we take
Let's
a
check
break
it
and
out.
check it out? And I'm just going to quietly cry on this pillow here.
It says that Serena will definitely return. Federer is not coming back, unfortunately.
No, you told me in the last episode that his,
But wouldn't that
his
be great?
injuries are too bad for him even to kind of
Look
like
it, yes.
play in the Federer Cup or exhibitions too much.
Yeah, that would be the guy we would like to come back.
Is it worth it, an extra 3 years playing and reaching Grand Slam finals, or being able to retire with full health and be able to play with your kids, play tennis and have a serious hit?
Well, I think the doctors said, if I'm not mistaken, that if he went back on playing, it could be really dangerous for him to have even like a
okay.
normal walk, right?
Yeah, normal walk.
So this is something that probably has a lot in consideration.
So, yes.
Like we all know that he loves to play tennis and that he's amongst Djokovic and Nadal, like dying to win more Grand Slams and to be
Yes, the best
on the
ever.
top. But once you put the physical conditions in that terms, that
In
you
those
can't
terms,
walk
yeah.
well, you can't play with your kids when they are like now 8, 9, 10 years old. I think it's like a no-brainer, maybe an easy decision. And actually, I think it was a nice farewell. Like
Beautiful.
there was like a couple of years that he was not but tennis also slowed down a lot these years, and there was some hope. Do you secretly have some hope that you would like? Oh, maybe you can play one more year.
I used to.
Yeah.
Until I heard
Not
those
anymore?
news. Exactly.
Yeah.
Jim was convinced that it was
Yeah.
possible
Yeah,
until he heard the news too.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm still processing the news. I'm sure a lot of people are too. And it, although the ATP finals were good, there were a lot of 3-set matches and close matches. It's not the same without him, and also not the same without him. He's missed previous year's editions, but you always thought he might be back next year. But this year, you know that he's not going to come back.
I remember the feeling of watching Federer. My heart sunk when he was losing. I was on the edge of my seat. I don't feel that this year.
Yeah, you felt when he lost, you lost watching him,
yeah.
and when he won, yes, you
It was
won.
wonderful.
But now, that connection's gone. It's like when I was a kid, when Brazil got knocked out of the World Cup. It felt like, well, the World Cup is kind of over now. And it felt like that with Federer when he got knocked out of a a Grand Slam. It's like, okay, well, it's going on. Well, I can enjoy it now because I haven't got a horse in the race.
That is a
That's-
very good analogy, actually.
Yes.
When like a very good team gets out of the World Cup, you also feel like,
Changes.
oh, suddenly it's whatever. Let's say that semifinals, instead of an Argentina Germany, is gonna be like
Ah,
Poland against Croatia. I'm not saying that they are not
no,
good,
they're
but
not good teams, but it's not the
you
same.
lose the. But with Federer, I agree with you. It was like we were living like just side by side with him and really wanting him to win and feeling his pain,
Yes.
watching the press
Oh
conferences.
my God. He was very emotional.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's happened before. A giant has retired from tennis. Agassi,
Agassi was the last one.
yeah, and a new Messiah has come along. I see Alcaraz as I think his career is going to follow Becker. I think after this early Grand Slam, I think someone's going to come out of nowhere, someone we don't know, who's just emerging on the tennis scene. I think someone's going to fill that gap because I don't have any real confidence that Auger Aliassime
Nope.
or Tsitsipas
Nope.
or Medvedev or even Ruud are going to fill that gap in terms of someone winning 7 or 8 Grand Slams. I think someone's going to come along and eclipse Alcaraz.
I don't remember from my while I'm alive history where somebody doesn't step up.
In men's tennis, there might have been the odd year where there's been limbo, like after Sampras retired, it was thought Hewitt would fill the vacuum and he won Wimbledon. But then, Federer emerged
Exactly.
after that. So, there's someone that's always come along. Less so in
So this
women's
is-
tennis, unfortunately.
So we are now leaving that moment where
We-
we're waiting. Although
We
Djokovic
are,
is
but
still around.
Djokovic is still around,
And
and
Nadal as
Nadal.
well. True.
He's people are still saying he's going to win the French Open, and a lot of people think Djokovic now he's probably allowed back into Australia.
I
He's
really
probably going to
hope
add
so.
another 2 Grand
Please.
Slams, close that gap because I think Nadal's one ahead, isn't he? At the
One
moment,
ahead, 22, 21.
I think probably Djokovic Australian, so going to be level. Then Nadal French probably.
Maybe.
Yeah,
And
so
that
go
is-
one ahead, and then Djokovic, Wimbledon, and US maybe.
Djokovic definitely has the advantage here. Nadal is looking tired, even though he says, what was it, Antonio, that he said in the interview? He would rather
I
die
will
or something?
die to win more Grand Slams.
Yes.
Something like this.
Yeah.
He said, I will die to win more Grand Slams.
Really? Oh, because I
Yes.
think I'm sure someone asked him at press conference, your health or more Grand Slams. He said, "Oh, my health definitely." But now he's changed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Hmm.
Djokovic has always been the most overtly ambitious. He's like, I want the records.
Yes.
Whereas Nadal
Honest.
is like, oh, what record? Oh, I
Yeah, it
didn't
doesn't
know I'd
exist.
won the most Grand Slams. Oh, and Federer played that game a bit
A
too.
little bit.
Oh,
Yes.
what? I've won 7? I don't know. But Djokovic knows exactly how many he's won,
Yeah.
and he's open about it. Yeah, I know that, and that's quite refreshing.
It is. I like that about him.
I like Djokovic, and your opinions change over the years. And looking back on the craziness of him getting refused the Australian Open, I thought it was. I thought I was on the side of Australia saying no, leave
Mhm.
at the time. But looking back, I'm thinking, well, was it an overreaction?
really
did we
was.
all overreact to COVID a bit too much?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so opinions change. Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it, really? So,
Yes. And it's so easy to explain that situation. I mean, we all know. You do your quarantine, you do tests, you have no COVID, please come in.
yeah.
There's no complications there. Let's use common sense.
I think it was led on by the Australian authorities, the tennis authorities, saying,
Yeah.
come over, it'll be fine.
Mm.
So I don't think he should take hold of the blame for that. I think
And is
Craig
this-
Tiley of the Australian Tennis Federation, I think he has quite a lot to answer for over that.
Yes, and there's no blame in choosing what to do with your body.
No, and he's
At all.
he's stuck to it, hasn't he?
You did.
He could easily have changed and gone, oh, actually, I've had a think, and on doctor's advice, I'm now going to do it, and
Mhm. He
you
could
know.
justify it with anything.
But
Yeah.
he's stuck to his guns, and he's never said, I don't think people should have the vaccination.
He never
He's
said
just said
that.
it's a personal
That is
choice.
good.
And this is how I feel, and I feel about it very strongly.
What
So-
did you feel about all that, Antonio? If you have some
yes.
words to share.
So about Australia itself, I think that back in that time, for me, it would be okay that Australia would say, okay, if you're not vaccinated, you can compete in our competition.
Yeah.
The worst part was more that there were so many politics on this. Like they get him in, then there's elections, there's a lot of pressure. There was a lot of things happening at the time that Djokovic was there. A lot of
True.
misinformation, and I mean, if they had this point, okay, you're not vaccinated, you can't play, then there would be okay. But there was a lot of back and forwards, like you can come if you do this and if you don't do this and blah blah blah.
Very complicated.
And I think this created like a situation where then like the Australian government came out like very well out of it. Oh
Yeah.
no, if it's for everyone, it's for Djokovic as well, and they made on him an example
They made an example out of him.
exactly.
Exactly.
But of course, there's a lot of things that we might not know, and we're just trying to. So in that sense, I think they dealt with it really bad. But I was not against back then that if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't play, because back then there was statistically proven that a lot of countries that were getting vaccinated didn't stopped having the hospitals overloaded with people
Yes,
and
yeah.
everything. And I am in this side of the equation, but I really think that it was really dirty in some way what they did with him for Australia. So I don't blame him completely. I don't blame Australia completely, but I think it was really sad. And I mean, nowadays we're starting to see that there's many things that are weird in this COVID situation. Like we went from 80 to 8 suddenly. Like everything can happen. There's no problems. No one talks, or like topic is a different topic nowadays. Just like stop talking about COVID and there's a war, and then we're just talking about war. We seldom talk. Maybe winter's coming and it's gonna be a big topic again. Hospitals are gonna. I don't know. Like it's very weird. Like there were a lot of too strict policies.
Yes.
But it's also, I mean, this is a tennis podcast, but this is also like the price that we pay of having something that is very unknown, and it's difficult to make a decision when you have something that is so unknown. In my perspective, and COVID was like this. I mean, we had like empty stadiums, and then maybe 15 days after, a lot of things were possible in anywhere, and
It
then
was
like
almost like unrealistic,
yeah,
isn't it?
it was very strange.
Yeah. It was all managed very strangely.
In some ways very poorly, but it's also because there's so lack of information from everyone. I mean, there is not many things proven or scientifically proven.
Exactly.
We live in an era that is so easy to fake information. There's anti-information, there is fake, there is information that is coming, there is fake. There's so many things that shape our opinions, and then we were living times very
It's
turbulent.
I mean, I think looking back at the Australian Open controversy all those months ago, I think it was basically Australia had imposed this rule on its own citizens and people coming in, normal people, not superstars. You know, you need to be vaccinated. You need to have this proof.
Exactly.
These are the rules. You know, have you had it? And then on the other hand, I think there was this desire from Tennis Australia, but these people are superstars. They're going to bring in money. We need to open up the economy. Let's make up our own rules. And I think that's what really stuck in the craw, really. It should be the same for everyone. And I think countries are entitled to make up their own rules. Some will have very strict COVID rules if it's a small country, and other countries with dense populations might have different entry requirements.
True.
And it just seemed like he was jumping the queue. And okay, you could say, well, yeah, but he's Novak Djokovic, it's not Rafa Nadal. These rules shouldn't apply because they're going to bring in economy, keep the local shops going, etc. But that's not very nice when you've got an elderly relative who wants to come over to Australia and they're denied entry, and yet these superstars are allowed in. So yeah, I think that's really what I think annoyed a lot of people about it. But I mean, if looking back on the year too, I think what was even more black and white was Wimbledon's decision to ban Russian and Belarusian players, which is something which I just thought was completely wrong. The BBC commentators said we think it's the right decision, and they're not supposed to talk about politics, but they kind of like became generally accepted it was the right thing to do. And I think it was the wrong thing to do to punish Russian players. Russian players are not Vladimir Putin. Their relatives might very well be in danger if they spoke out against the war. So they're compromised in a way that we're not. We can speak out against the war with less fear of repercussions than someone like Daniel Medvedev, who has relatives in Russia, of course. I thought it was completely the wrong decision, but I do think it was right for the ATP to take away ranking points to punish Wimbledon for making the wrong decision. Unfair on the players, especially the ones who perform well at Wimbledon. But yeah, and yeah, one final point I was going to say, I don't want to dominate the floor, but I was going to bring up the tournament in Saudi Arabia, which several top players have participating in. I think Cameron Norrie.
Yeah.
But there's been lots of criticism of the Qatar World Cup, quite right. But let's shine a light on tennis as well. These players are playing in Saudi Arabia, which is an awful human rights record. They're just taking the money to play over there.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, we're not politicians. But I think top sports people do have a responsibility to, you can't just travel anywhere. Sometimes there is sports washing in this modern world of ours with these Middle Eastern regimes. Corrupt governments wanting top sporting events to present their country in a favourable light to the West, despite their oppression of
China with
minorities. And I know every country has its skeletons in the cupboard. England has a bad colonial past. So the headline in the BBC website was Norrie signs up for controversial Saudi Arabian events. Daniel Medvedev, Alexander Zverev competing at the Diriyah Tennis Cup in Saudi Arabia next month in December. Pretty much out of season. 12 players. Total prize money of $3 million.
It's a lot of money.
Takes place at a time when Saudi Arabia's record on human rights remains under scrutiny. Stan Wawrinka as well. I always thought he was a decent guy. Dominic Thiem, who's coming back. He's had a few wins lately, hasn't he?
Yes.
Andrei Rublev. This is Andrei Rublev, who was banned from Wimbledon, so you'd think he'd have some sensitivity. Same with Medvedev. It's been condemned by Amnesty, who say players should realise they're effectively being hired to take part in the latest jamboree of Saudi sports washing. So I don't know what you two think about that, but I do think it's worth it.
Is this an official tournament? That's important for
I
my
don't
answer.
think
Because
it
if
is.
it's
I
just
might
an
be,
exhibition...
it is not rankings
It's not a
because it's
ranking.
invitation.
Okay. On the other hand, things came out now because of the World Cup. Things were not well done before the World Cup as well, over the history.
Oh, definitely.
So it doesn't really make the players wrong for going there just because now it's on the news.
Well, there's always been controversial events. Back when South Africa was practicing apartheid, top tennis players got offered millions of pounds to take part in tournaments where, the black population, the poor black population would not be watching those matches. It'd be white South Africans who subscribed to the apartheid system. And, you get people like Arthur Ashe saying, no, I'm not playing in this, and advising people like John McEnroe, look, you're a young kid, but this is not right to play in a country which promotes apartheid. You are not promoting tennis in that country to the poorest people who are being oppressed. So there is no point in you going over. And I think people like McEnroe took that on board. But where's the Arthur Ashe now? Djokovic is very active politically and sticks up for players who are in trouble. But there's no Arthur Ashe, is there? He's a one-off.
So why are people playing tennis and football in countries like America who invaded countries without...
Very good point.
It's also fucked up.
Where's the next World Cup in football? It's in the US.
It's in the US. And why weren't athletes from America blocked from coming into other countries when America was invading countries that had nothing to do with them?
Like Vietnam, for example. In the
Yes,
60s.
Vietnam. Like Afghanistan.
Yeah.
These are very good
forth.
points. Yeah.
So these things are going on for centuries.
A long time, but I think Qatar takes it a lot further than, America's not perfect at all. It often sees itself as the world's policeman. But yeah, Qatar with its executions.
But I
with
mean, we're
its-
talking also about obviously this is common sense about human rights, but there's also so many things, for example, in America going wrong, like legalization of guns, abortion being
Yeah.
prohibited again,
Yes.
and we're talking about like something that we think it's like developed world, but there's a lot of things going wrong in this place. This is one thing that I wanted to say. The other thing is, I don't know if players need to be involved in politics and promotion of ideas and or ideologies,
Oh,
or
yes. No
because
way.
I mean, like especially in tennis, and obviously money is not everything, but in tennis, it's like millions of players, and maybe 0.01% of the players actually make money with
That's
tennis.
so true.
very few of them do, yeah.
Under the
All like
ranking 50.
how much is, for example, team that has been out of the radar for so long, how much is for team to play on high level and pros with coaching and everything that goes for a year? Money is one of the things, but also like they're there to play tennis, as you're saying,
True.
and they want to
Well,
play
yeah,
tennis.
this is what Cameron Norris says about it.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's right for me to get involved with individual government politics. My job is to be a professional tennis player, and this event in Saudi allows me to train with some of the best players in the world and to potentially win the Australian Open. He's 27 years old. I know when I was 27, I wasn't too interested in politics, but they've got older coaches, they've got parents, and you just think they kind of, maybe have a word. And this is Cameron Norrie, who benefited really from a few Russian players not taking part in Wimbledon. It might have been Cameron Norrie might have faced Medvedev in the last 16, so would never have reached the quarterfinals or semi-finals at Wimbledon, or faced Rublev. So politics has affected Cameron Norrie's year, and I think it's good to talk about it. It's been good to talk about it tonight, and there's no mention of it, so it's not in the mainstream media like tonight. There was no mention of it. I don't know how much the World Cup commentary tonight mentions should this be taking place, but tennis it exists in a vacuum in a certain extent, doesn't it? It's a bubble, but yeah, there's more to it. I mean, would they actually go out and play in Iraq or?
Yeah, it's, we have our jobs in life, and many of our jobs unrelated to politics, but the politics define the societies we live in. So maybe if everyone, like you said, the name of the player, Arthur Ashe, maybe if more people were like that, maybe the world could be a bit different. Who knows?
I think Djokovic said tonight, I don't speak Italian, so I don't know his speech, but I think he was saying, look, I hope this inspires some Italian people to pick up a racket, this match we've had tonight.
Exactly.
Could Cameron Norrie say that if he won the tournament in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, he might inspire some rich people in the audience, their kids, to pick up a racket.
It's always going.
But,
The tennis will always be linked to money, isn't it? Because you cannot be a pro tennis player if you don't have money.
No, it's nice to think of
Just
tennis
there's
as a
no way.
travelling circus going from town to town, where anyone can come along to the circus, pay a few pennies, and come along and experience. But it's not like that. You have to have a bit of money to get in there, really. And in places like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, you're just going to get the rich people watching these matches.
No wonder our conversation went a little bit towards the darkness of the world.
I've brought the tone down, haven't I?
No, it's fine, because what 2-3 years we have, isn't it? It's all come out boiling, and we all feel this thing.
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, for example, for Norris, his country is like trading with Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Like, or most of the countries are buying oil from these countries. Like, I think it's just like a family. Like, if your father or if your parents are not doing the right decisions, why would I? In some way, it could relate to this, because it's difficult to ask an individual that loves to play tennis to stop playing tennis because of this and this, when just like the country, like I feel the same with Portugal and China sometimes. There's a lot of debates about Taiwan. China, is Taiwan independent? But Portugal itself doesn't consider Taiwan an independent country, and there's free trading with China. But then there's the same approach. I think it's quite harsh in some ways to condemn. Yeah, even though I understand exactly and I feel.
What would you guys do?
I think sportsmen try and avoid controversy. If there's any kind of tainted product to sponsor, and it's a bit controversial. They steer away, and these players must have known Saudi Arabia is quite a controversial place to play in, but you just get the feeling the money cancelled those fears. Oh, it's controversial, yeah. Even I know that 27 naive-year-old player. But hang on, there's £12 million on offer, and that's why they get these top tournaments.
Yeah.
And that's sports washing, really. It's the same way that a lot of boxing matches are in the Middle East, in countries with dodgy human rights records. They're kind of
UFC as well.
And all top players end their careers in Arab countries and China and everything, right?
Yes.
Nowadays.
Coaches,
Coaches.
etc. Yeah. It's so true.
yeah. So I like to think I'd say no, but I'm watching the Qatar World Cup, so
Yes.
if I was really
Exactly.
if I was really that moral, I would be refusing it. My reason for watching it is very poor. I'm trying to get my son into football by watching it and showing enthusiasm. But if that excuse wasn't there, maybe I'd use another excuse. So I'm just as hypocritical about it. But it doesn't make sense Wimbledon banning Russian and Belarusian players and then going, okay, yeah, it's fine for you lot to play in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
Come and play Wimbledon. And here's a question. What are Wimbledon going to do about Russian and Belarusian players next year?
Next year.
Because the war in Ukraine is probably still going to be going on.
Crazy.
Are Wimbledon going to stick to their guns, if you excuse the pun, for
Yep.
the whole length of the Ukraine war? They're going to look a bit silly. What if an amazing player comes out of Russia, the world number one, and people want to go to see Wimbledon to see
It
them?
almost happened with Medvedev.
Yeah, it
He
did.
was number one for a bit.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Ironically, because of the Wimbledon
Yes.
rankings ban, his ranking was protected, so it did backfire. So that's going to be interesting next year. Is Medvedev going to be allowed to?
Yes. I
to
look
play?
forward to knowing. Anything that stood out positive about this tennis year for you guys?
I love the Lever Cup.
Oh, that's a nice touch to the end. It was wonderful, wasn't it? But sad at the same time.
Yeah. I enjoyed, to be honest, I enjoyed a lot Alcaraz rise. Was very, very promising, and I mean, it still can be, even though he's losing some matches now, but
True.
he's rising, and like someone coming so young with so many shots
So
and like
young.
such a beautiful tennis as well was
So
very,
much skill.
very nice to watch and to have some hope.
Yes, very promising.
I would
So
say that.
you want him to be the world? Would you be happy if he's the world number one next 3 years, takes over from Djokovic?
I would
Nadal?
love someone to take over Djokovic.
That's it. It's as simple as that.
And I wouldn't mind to be Alcaraz at all.
So you're not a fan of Djokovic, or you're just a bit tired of his domination? Or?
I was never a fan of Djokovic. I was a big fan of Federer. I see in Djokovic a lot of like amazing skills and
Spirit,
in everything. Like everything is good in almost everything is good in Djokovic, but he's not the one that I would love to be
Exactly.
like the number one. So, and I mean, like we all like stories, and we like to have someone that is beaten, that there's a competition, there is rivalry, and I would like someone to come and step in this big three.
That's exactly it. Alcaraz needs to beat Djokovic in Australia Open
Yeah.
final, and then someone has shifted tennis, like Federer did with Sampras. What about you?
Well, yeah, it's been a crazy year. I think, the Wimbledon Russian ban stuck in my mind. The excitement of Kyrgios. Oh, how far can he go? Only for it to be dashed and disappointed in
The final.
in 3 Grand Slams. Circus of Raducanu and her going through all the coaches sticks in my mind too. I feel sorry for her. It was an amazing victory when she won the US Open, but it's been a millstone round her neck. The circus of Serena at the US Open, it all being about her, and then the kind of relief when she went and we could just enjoy the tennis rather than have Queen Latifah tributes before the match.
Yeah, that was weird.
And ceremonies stood on their head in that, Serena Williams would come out second to milk all the applause when she was the lower ranked player. There's I'll pretend a song with a lyric, some things change, some stay the same. And tonight's just reminded me of that.
Hmm.
Rude is some things change, and Djokovic is some things stay the same. He's finished the year so strongly as he did in his 20s. It's the first time he's won it in his 30s.
Incredible
He's the
stats.
oldest ATP Tour final winner, and yeah, I like the old guy winning, so I'm not that disappointed.
Agreed, yes. It's good to see that Djokovic is still on top. And next year, let's see who beats the boss. And maybe Nadal in the French. The most positive thing for me is finally the WTA has someone driving it. And it's about time because I was getting bored with the one-hit wonders, one Grand Slam and then disappearance. And so Swiatek is definitely... It's just that she stepped up and she's the boss. And it's very positive. Now I await for a rival to step up, and we shall have something special coming to the WTA.
Well, she's answered one of my questions from about a year ago.
Yeah.
She can win a hard court Grand Slam, and I think that
Yes.
surprised her.
Mm-hmm.
But there is the other question remaining. How far can she go on grass? Because she's disappointed on grass so far. Does the French Open exhaust her and mean that by the time she turns up in London, she can't shake the clay off her feet and go to the semis or final? So that's one question she needs to answer fairly soon, I think.
Well, she does not need, just like Nadal, to be a master at grass to become a master of tennis. Especially because hard court is everywhere. And clay
It
court season
definitely-
is very long and she dominates it. So I think,
The grass court is a short
She
season. That
does
makes it all
not-
the more sweeter.
yeah, it's true. That's going to be like the cherry on top of
Yeah,
the cake.
what a
If she
cherry, what a cake.
wins Wimbledon, which I will go on a whim and say she will.
Well, it'd be a great sign of greatness if you can win in Paris and then 3 weeks later win in London.
Wimbledon. Yeah.
That's a great double. So
Yes.
it's not just winning Wimbledon; it's
Wimbledon's-
winning the double.
Yeah, Wimbledon is like the holy grail of tennis, isn't it?
I think it is, especially once you've won it. Until you've won it, it's not the Holy Grail.
What's your favorite Grand Slam, Antonio?
Grand Slam,
Yeah, if you have one.
Wimbledon.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, it tends to be, isn't it?
Have you been to Wimbledon?
and I have never been.
So you've been to Melbourne for the
Melbourne.
Australian, but you haven't been right. Okay, and even so, still your favourite. That's great.
Yeah, I am considering to go to Wimbledon next year.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do.
Pay a couple of
Have you
thousand
guys
pounds
been?
for a
You
seat.
have been to Wimbledon
Twice,
already,
yes.
and Jim.
3 times and I got
Oh.
in twice. Yeah.
And hey, Nadal's favorite tournament is Wimbledon too.
Really?
Yes.
You're
Of course,
joking.
he's
Not
think
the
he
French
said that in
Open.
He's bored with Roland.
No, that's
Roland
where he
Garros.
dominates, but he always dreamed of Wimbledon. Sorry.
He's already so bored with the Roland Garros. I was-
Yeah.
And he beat
Just practice for him, really.
exactly.
he beat the king of grass in grass. So
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
you know, he did it all.
Yeah.
He did it all.
But we can't end on that note.
No, we can't.
Federer beat him 3 out of 4 times at Wimbledon, I think.
And Federer beat him
3
the
out of
last.
4 times?
Federer beat him the last 3 times they played, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not when
final
he's
word.
when he's sitting in his rocking chair
Final
tonight
word.
listening to this. This will
Yeah,
give him
it's gonna
some
be like,
warmth.
Who was the
his cup of
last man
cocoa.
standing?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes,
I
please.
would like to ask. This is, I believe, your last episode of the year.
Probably is.
I would like to ask you guys
Prediction?
predictions for next year. Who's gonna be the number one in
I
the
like-
end of next year?
I like this question.
Yes. I think next year the number one will be, if he's not banned from countries because of the vaccine, it will be Djokovic. How about you?
That's a really good question. I think Djokovic, but I think there'll be a few twists and turns. I think,
Mhm.
come on, it's about time Nadal doesn't win the French Open. And so maybe Djokovic will win that. And maybe someone will win Djokovic's Wimbledon crown. So that would be, I think there's going to be a twist. We can't have another year of
Rude.
Nadal winning the French and
Yes.
Djokovic winning Wimbledon. Come on, the script writers have got to come up with something different.
What about you, Anton?
Yeah, I would like to make this not so that we wouldn't have the same, but I also
It's-
believe that it's gonna be Djokovic.
Is it?
Djokovic, even though I still believe that Alcaraz can come
Yes, he
and
can.
make like
Yes,
a
he
big
can.
difference.
If he steps up,
Maybe the most important question is: will Djokovic overtake Nadal for the
And he
for the,
will.
for the Grand Slams, because
Probably
what's
will.
the standing at the moment? Is Nadal's on
22, 21, and 20.
I see, yeah. So I think Djokovic is capable of getting,
He will.
I would put my balls on fire that he will.
depending on the vaccination and whether he's allowed into countries.
Exactly that.
If he's allowed in and
Yes.
doesn't hit a ball boy with a
Yes.
a pellet gun or something like that while joking around, I think he'll do it. And I think this could be Nadal's final year, or the one where his
It
form
feels that way.
drops off a cliff. He has a few early entries. He's had a great year. I think it could be Nadal retiring. He's made sounds about it, so that's my tip. This might be his last
I
year.
think so too. Something died in him after Federer left.
Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
He was even smiling after he lost a few points, I think, in his final match this week. So it's good to smile. Tennis is good to smile, but don't smile before Christmas.
Nope. And Antonio, thank you very much for coming. Hopefully you enjoyed. And live, huh?
Thank
Very
you
good.
guys for the opportunity to be here talking with you guys and have a good time.
It's been an honor. It's always nice to have another voice.
Yes. He came all the way to Brighton just for this
just for
moment.
I know, yeah. Just in time for the
Priorities.
last bus back to Lisbon.
Yes, priorities in life, guys.